Why do I do this to myself? Why do I put myself through these pains? Why don't I look forward to restrict even more and have more intense fasting and enjoying my life of freedom that I could see that I could achieve, because I'm just hardly ever hungry.
Yes.
Actually, at that time, I was feeling very not hungry. And, I'm a big feasting carnivore. I really believe in this, by the way. I really believe in, when I eat, I take it seriously. It's work, but I take it seriously. When I fast, I also take that seriously too.
Yes. And I love it, because people are like, can I have this on a fast? And I'm like, if it's anything caloric, no.
That's right. So the other thing is, I only take water on my fast. I don't do any salt. I don't do any.
Oh, you don't do. Oh, dude, I have to have the water, and I do. And I don't guzzle it. I just sip it.
Yeah.
But then I take under the tongue some of the Redmond's real salt.
Yeah.
If I don't, I start getting that kind of fatigued feeling.
Yes.
Why do you think you do okay without salt?
Oh, I do great without salt. Even better. Less inflammation, everything.
Why?
Oh, I don't know the answer.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That a lot of people, maybe your system of salt, potassium kind of balance is good. And maybe other people, it's not so good. And so thus those people need to supplement. And I wonder, since you got off the supplements to do Sean's challenge, did you ever add supplements back, or did you keep them out?
Wait. So I was not a no salt carnivore then.
Okay.
Just to let you know, I only became a no salt carnivore starting this past year.
Okay.
To be right. Yeah. So, but I noticed that my salt intake just started getting a lot less. So now I did try the snake juice earlier on in my fasting. So I did do all of that. And I did notice how easy it is to fast with the salt water.
Yes.
That I always took it in my mind. That's kind of like cheating, like a training meal.
Look, it's non-caloric. It's giving you electrolytes. Like, I think that's going to be a as you need it kind of thing. And apparently you do pretty well without it. I know Jimmy would be miserable during a fast if I didn't have my salt. When I get those hunger feelings, I do the salt just to kind of revive myself. I've been on podcasts before where I'm in I did an 18-day fast about 3 months ago. And I was in the middle of a podcast on like day 12, and I'm just like, like putting it in my mouth, desperately trying to get a boost in energy. That's badass if you can do it without salt, man. Mad respect.
Well, no. That's the thing. I take this just like training. To me, this is like in my karate training or jiu-jitsu training. All of these are slow steps. If I'm not ready to do it without salt, then I'm just not ready. I just need to train myself to the point to get to that point. And that's how I look at it. I want water only fasting, because if I cannot do it, or I have weak energy, or I have anything, so there are certain markers that I look for on my fast. If that happens, then I break my fast immediately. One of them is, of course, the energy dip is for a certain amount of time. Of course, there is even, there's that little energy dip that always happens through that day. Yeah, exactly. And it only lasts for a certain amount of time. So those I'm okay with. Now, if it's constant lasting, also headache is another one. Diarrhea is another one. Ketone breath is another one. So if I have ketone breath, I know that I've pushed my body too far.
Really?
Yes. So I end my fast any of those reasons.
What's the ketone breath thing about?
Well, I'm just going to tell you my theory. Okay. This Raymond Nazon, this is not approved by any doctor idea. Okay, good. As long as you're okay with this. So the way I see it is the body goes through some heavy detoxing period during the fast. We know this, right? So what happens is that it starts wasting too much energy through the ketones, which is causing the ketone breath. So you're detoxing too fast. Same as diarrhea. The reason you're going to diarrhea, what happens is that all the toxins starts floating around in your bloodstream, but it's not binding to your digestive system fast enough so you can flush it out properly. And it needs to do it fast because it doesn't want it to hang out into your bloodstreams.
Well, Anybody that's done a long fast, I'm assuming you mean extended fast,
Wait,
not a.
yeah, yes, okay, there's a difference because then your body goes into a stasis mode after 3 days. The stasis mode, I'm not comparing that.
Okay.
So after the 3 days, your body is pretty much has slowed down a bunch of things, and then it goes into the stasis mode, and that plays in a whole different factor. I'm talking about between the 24 hours to the 72-hour mark. That's all I play with.
Yeah. Well,
So, yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
keep going.
No, so we're talking about when I'm rolling 48s,
I
for
got you.
example, one meal every 48 hours. I try to do 10, 12. I'll do a roll for I do my fasting period is for the first 6 months of the year, right? So I would literally fast like doing rolling 48s for the first 3 months of the year. The second 3 months I would add a 72 on top of that.
So you're doing 48 hours of fasting, eat a meal, 48 hours of fasting, eat.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
that program?
Yes.
Wow.
And really it's not 48 per se. I like to call it rolling 48, but sometimes 45, sometimes
Right,
it's
right.
55, sometimes it's but
You're
it's
listening,
one meal.
you're listening to
Yeah.
your body, and if you need to eat at
Right.
41, you're going to eat at 41.
Right. But if I don't want to eat until 55,
Right.
that's what happens
Right.
too. So it's kind of like, there's just one meal every other day for sure.
Have you experienced the dreaded keto flu? Did you know that most of these symptoms are actually due to your body dumping excess electrolytes? This is where Element comes in. Element is a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing you don't. That means lots of salt with no sugar. Element is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited to folks following a keto, low-carb, or paleo diet. Element contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio, 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, with none of the junk, no sugar, no coloring, no artificial ingredients, no gluten, no fillers, no BS. Everyone needs electrolytes, especially those on low-carb diets, or if you practice intermittent or extended fasting, if you're physically active, or sweat a lot. Add Element today and see how much better you feel and perform. Use the URL drinklmnt.com/Jimmy.
So yeah, within that first couple of days, you should not have a whole lot of diarrhea. Definitely day one is just an OMAD. Day two,
Right.
you may have different things going on. When you keep going beyond day two, though, is when some of those gastrointestinal things can start to happen. I know when I did my 18-day fast, Raymond, I had a pseudomoma on my leg that was an infection. And I was like, I don't want to take antibiotics. I want to fast and see if I can get rid of that. And so I had diarrhea every day, flushing that out of my system, and weird doing that.
Oh, I agree. That does work. So, okay, long-term fast are totally different. But here's the thing. I always believe that you can train your body to fast.
How?
There's a big difference by feasting correctly.
Yes. Yes.
So the key is not the fast. The key is the feast.
Yes. Like leading up to a fast, people are like, I'm going to start a 7-day fast tomorrow. And I'm like, how have you prepared for that? And they're like, I'm just going to start. I'm like, dude, like you may want to get sufficient in amino acids and fatty acids leading up to that, because that's going to be hardcore on your body. And people just say, well, I can just start. And I'm like, no. Jimmy almost kind of overfeeds on fat and protein from animal sources leading up to a fast, so I can get through those first 2 days of hell, definitely day two, and get to that point where you get to day 3, 4, where it's nirvana to get to 7.
And let me tell you, when you do the 2-day hell, as you call it, constantly, it's next to nothing. I don't get any issues, nothing. I am fully performing. I do let's put it this way. I've done one time where I've done, Orange Theory that morning. And this was on my it ended in my 44th hour, but I did Orange Theory that morning. I did 6 hours of jujitsu, Oh no, I did karate. Sorry, I did an hour karate after the Orange Theory, and then I did 6 hours of jujitsu afterwards. No problem.
Well, and when you're in that deep of a fasted state, fasted workouts are a thing, by the way, you guys. If you want to mobilize body fat, and as I showed you from Raymond's picture earlier, he had body fat that needed to be mobilized. It's powerful for mobilizing that. And so, wow. And so your energy levels were great. And of course, again, like
Awesome.
you trained your body to get to that point. Don't listen to them now, guys, and think, oh, I'll go out and 42 hours of fast. And Raymond said I could go take on the world. Yeah, don't do that.
Right.
You
Right.
kind of have to like work your way into
Build it up. Yeah, and what I usually coach people on is if I ever tell them something, I'm like, look, feast until. When I say feast, I first tell people the first job, and I know it's kind of weird because, you know, my nurse was telling me I need to eat less and work out more, right? You know, the normal eat less, exercise more. And my actual advice to them when I coach is like, move less, eat more.
yes. Yes.
And I, you know, and Jimmy, I don't know if you ever have a hard time, but that's one of the hardest things that I can ingrain into people, to eat more. So I tell them, eat more to the point, because you can't, it's not possible for you to just keep eating and eating. Eventually your body's going to say, stop, I've
Right.
got enough of what I need.
Well, look, our modern standard American diet has very hyper palatable refined carbohydrates. And so when you eat real food based proteins and fats from mostly animal sources, yeah, you're right. The body has a very natural mechanism for stopping you when you've had enough. In fact, there's been some studies. Jeff Volek is one of the big researchers in the low carb ketogenic world. He did a study once where he put people either on a low fat diet with like 1,600 calories,
Yeah.
low fat, high
I
carb,
heard that.
or they were on a low carb, high fat diet ad libitum, meaning eat as much as you want. And
Right.
guess what happened? They ate exactly the same number of calories as the low fat group,
Yeah.
spontaneously, because their bodies didn't want more food than that. And so we think that we need to kind of count calories. And if you listen to satiety, listen to how you feel. I remember Dr. Westman on my Clarity books, he was talking about eating to 80. And so when you eat 80%, it's a subjective thing, but you kind of stop yourself at some point and go, okay, I'm content. And that ends up being the right calories for you.
Right. Actually, that is key on carnivore. So I noticed that I used to coach where I used to tell people that, hey, and I noticed that with myself. So I used to always read these forums, and they would say, if you're having this and this problems and cravings, that means you're under eating. And I never understood that. So I started stuffing myself, because I was like, okay, everybody knows what stuffing is. I know what Thanksgiving stuffing is. And so now that's how I start to coach. I'm like, look, every meal you have, you eat like it's your job. So in other words, when you're full, don't stop there. You
Yeah.
keep going until you just cannot take another bite. And that enhances the carnivore diet, where it's so easy. No cravings happen. I mean, when I say cravings, they may have like a distant church bell sound where they can hear it.
Yeah.
They can hear it on that far, but it's not right. But it's not like right on them, where it's like
Right.
you just takes you over, where you just have to reach for the carbs.
Right.
And that's the important thing. But you know, pretty much just to let you know, overall, what I've had through this journey, I'm 49. I can run a 7-minute mile now. I've done a 10-miler in a 10-minute mile pace.
Whoa.
Yeah, incredible. I've done a 5K in an 8.5-minute mile pace, and I can do 10 right-handed, one-handed push-ups. You know, I can do a full split. Yeah, I'm like, do I have any business at this age to be doing any of this stuff?
Dude, that is so empowering. It's so inspiring, to the point that you got the attention of the people at Men's Health and Fitness. Why don't you tell us a little bit of that journey of how you got on their radar screen?
Yeah, that was interesting. Actually, it was totally by fluke and accident, really. I submitted my picture for Lifeonomics, you know, the Life for Fasting app.